Hello there! Movies are a big part of my life, and all of them go ahead to entertain all different kinds of people. From ones being directed to children like Shrek, action and adventure movies like Indiana Jones, murder mystery movies like Knives Out, or if you're into real weird shit, you might enjoy watching The Human Centipede. And I ain't judging, whatever floats your boat, man. Movies are diverse and cater to different audiences so everybody can have a chance to enjoy them. It's about making a never forgetting experience for anyone so they can always remember that moment. Like 2 days back at the time of recording this, I went ahead to go watch the Chainsaw Man movie. And oh my god, 10 out of 10, I loved it, man. It was amazing. This shit is anime movie of the century, bro. I'm telling you, I can't express how peak it was. It was gas. And I'm definitely gonna save glazing it for another time. But with all the movies my ugly ass has sat down and spent countless hours of my life on, just indulging myself in some of the greats of acting, thriller, and emotion, I ain't gonna lie, some of the movies I'll come across are just straight up weird. Films that made me second guess everything. Flicks that by the end of watching it, when you get to the credits, you're just like, what the hell did I just watch? Weird ass movies that get you thinking, how was this even made in the first place? Who greenlit this shit? And for some goddamn reason, they also leave you hella entertained. Like with me, I thought Cocaine Bear was a decent movie. A bear running around murking people after snorting like crazy. Hell yeah, man, this movie was dumb and stupid. It was fun. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be bringing out some weird movies I've seen, and hopefully some of you guys have watched them as well, since they're kind of entertaining. And if you haven't, well, watch the video anyway. I don't know what you want me to say after that. So let's not waste any more time and jump into the first pick, beginning with a movie called Split. Now, when I first watched Split, bro, I was lost at the end. I wasn't understanding shit. If you're not familiar with this movie, it follows the story of a guy named Kevin Wendell Crumb. And you see Kevin? Well, he's got a little bit of a problem. Kevin is a man who suffers from a condition called dissociative identity disorder, where in having this issue, he's developed another 23 personalities in his brain. And throughout the majority of the movie, the main guy, Kevin, barely had any control of his own body. Most of the time, he was one of his other 23 personalities. When he attended his therapy sessions, he was a guy named Barry, the calm and collected one. He was more level-headed. Other days, he was a kid named Hedwig, who's 9 years old and a big fan of Kanye West. Sometimes he was a guy named Orwell, who's some sort of historian. And Jade, who's a diabetic. You get the point. He basically switched in and out of each personality, being a different person every time. However, the next two I'm about to speak about here, weirdos! See, our boy Kevin has another two personalities that took the majority of screen time in the movie. A guy named Dennis and a woman named Miss Patricia. And you see these men? Evil, man, I'm telling you, they're evil. They're horrible. Dennis was a guy who kidnapped 3 girls at the start of the movie, dashed them in a basement and kept them locked in there. And Miss Patricia, she was so weird, so evil, so diabolical, so much worse than anything else that ever came out of the movie, that she did one of the worst things a human being could ever do. She made mayonnaise sandwiches. Oh my god, get her out, man. She's sick. That's poison. She poisoned them. But Dennis and Miss Patricia are working together and scheming with their nefarious asses to bring out a 24th and final personality, who's projected to be the most powerful of them all. A side nickname, the Beast. That's why they kidnapped the 3 girls in the first place. They were meant to be sacrifices to be prepared, so for when the Beast was ready to emerge, he was going to eat them. There's a scene in a movie with the therapist on a Skype call, and she's discussing how people with identity disorder generally develop into completely different individuals. Like if one personality is allergic to one thing, the actual person isn't. They could be way stronger and faster than the original person, or even be way smarter and have a better general IQ than the original patient. She even wrote a piece on how a woman she worked with was blind for 10 years while other personalities developed sight. It's like they healed their eyes. It's mad. It's as if all of Kevin's different personalities are their own people physically as much as they are mentally, having their own physiques or abilities. You guys still with me here? This might be a little bit hard to process. So with the combination of all his different personalities, I'm guessing they eventually molded together and formed a completely new personality to protect Kevin, which is also a murderer. That's crazy work, man. So throughout the movie, the 3 girls named Casey, Claire, and Marcia keep looking for different ways to escape so they don't get their asses sacrificed. But they're consistently unsuccessful and get caught a bunch of times by both Dennis and Miss Patricia, which leads to all 3 of them eventually getting locked into completely separate rooms. Their shenanigans go down. Casey befriends Hedwig, manipulates him, and she even lets him kiss her. It's kind of crazy. And then she tries to steal his radio and gets locked up again. Then the therapist pulls up to Kevin's crib to go ahead to visit Dennis and see that he's kidnapped 3 girls. And then she gets knocked out. Then the scenes right after this, oh my god, man, they were terrifying. So Dennis and Miss Patricia go out, strolling through the train station, picking up flowers, and just run a bunch of weird errands. But as soon as Dennis gets onto the train, shit starts to get crazy. He starts morphing, transforming, molding in the darkness, and becomes the final personality, the Beast. And this guy wastes no time, starts climbing the side of the train like he's Spider-Man, sprints like he's Usain Bolt all the way back to his crib, squeezes the life out of the therapist, just finessing her completely, then goes ahead and becomes a cannibal and eats the other two girls. Then when Casey escapes, she gets a strap and she shoots the man twice. And guess what? He's unfazed. He gets up like nothing happened, starts ripping the bars of the cage Casey locked herself in apart like he's Superman, and was about to end her life until he saw her scars from when she was traumatized as a kid and decided to leave her. And that's practically the movie. When I was scrolling through Netflix and decided to go ahead and watch this, by the end of it, I was like, what the hell is this? What did I just watch? My brain was not working there. I was lost at the part where Kevin just became a flipping tyrant. What's with the powers? He filmed getting shot point blank. Who does that? Besides what the therapist said in the Skype call about people with identity disorder developing abilities, saying shit like they're more stronger, faster, and can heal better. Bro, the guy survived getting shot right in front of the gun. What does it mean? When I saw this, my eyes widened. I was like, what the hell is this, man? What happened? And you know what? This movie was sick, man. I ain't gonna lie, it was entertaining. It had me hooked. It was interesting to see how it spun horror in a different kind of way. Instead of it being a traditional slasher, demon, or flipping Krampus movie, it was more about how trauma was presented and could affect somebody so tragically they essentially become a murderer now. And after doing some research, I've seen that this is a sequel to a movie called Unbreakable. And there's a movie that's a direct sequel to Split called Glass. So I might have to see these one day. But if you haven't seen Split, I'd recommend it. It's a decent movie. And all in all, yo, Kevin is strange, man. He's a psycho. Going on to the next movie. Before we had Five Nights at Freddy's, we had Willy's Wonderland. And bro, this is straight up just a complete clone of Five Nights at Freddy's. What the hell is this, man? So Willy's Wonderland is a movie about a guy named the Janitor, played by the GOAT himself, Nicolas Cage. He's the actor behind one of the greatest characters in all of movie history. One of the coldest heroes of our decade. The man who makes the impossible possible. The guy himself. Right from the Croods. And Ghost Rider. He played Ghost Rider as well. Willy's Wonderland is about a guy named the Janitor who was driving through a town called Hayesville, and because of a random movie bullshit, his car broke down. Then he gets his car towed by a man to his workshop to go ahead and fix his car, and because of even more random movie bullshit, he says he can't fix his car without cash, and the man only has card. Who the hell doesn't take card, man? So instead of just paying the guy and being on his merry way, the mechanic gave him another solution. He sent him to a man named Tex McAdoo who owns a restaurant called Willy's Wonderland, which is literally a copy of Freddy Pizzeria. I can't stress that enough. And then he tells the man that if he cleans the entire restaurant in the morning, he'll fix his car free of charge and he can just ride off into the sunset. And of course he took that shit. Hell yeah, I would take that shit as well. It's a free fix on a car. You know how much that shit would run you by in real life? I'm about to live that high life, man. So with that being said, the man wastes no time and gets to cleaning. Uses a broomstick, sweeps up the floor, picks up the chairs, the whole shebang. And while he's going at it, we get a good look into Willy's and get introduced to the animatronics inside. We got Artie the alligator, Siren Sarah, Cammy the chameleon, Gus the gorilla, Gustavo Fring. They also got a knight, an ostrich, and a Spanish turtle. Yeah, a Spanish turtle. And of course, we also have the main man himself, Willy the Weasel. And something is weird about these animatronics. They're strange, they're peculiar, they're interesting. And rightfully so, because these animatronics are possessed by the souls of serial killers that went about whisking kids away to a private room and ended their life. It's mad. As the movie goes on, we're introduced to Liv and a group of friends who went ahead to go to Willy's to initially burn it down. But because Nick Cage was already in there, they tried to convince him to get out of there and destroy the animatronics with them. But he wasn't doing that shit. He just wanted to play pinball on his break and then get back to cleaning. Even though time to time, he was absolutely working these men. In one scene, the ostrich just randomly pulled up to him to run the ones, and this guy beat the soul out of this man with a mop, acting like he was Daredevil with his billy club. I don't know what was going on here, but he was beating the shit out of him. It was crazy. And then he did that shit the entire movie. He was piecing up all the animatronics. He looked superhuman, man, I swear. He dashed Gustavo into a sink and bashed his head in, dashed the knight into a wall, ripped the alligator's jaw apart, just rammed his way through the siren and turtle guy, knocking them out in the hallway, was ready to beat the living shit out of the chameleon. But then it was break time, so he went back to play some more pinball. But then he came back and whooped the chameleon until the feds came and they snaked him out. See, at this point in the movie, they explain that the whole idea of getting people passing through the town of Hayesville, their car breaking down and referring them to work off their debt is a literal scam. The sheriff, Tex, and the mechanic have been running this show for as long as Willy's has been closed, getting people to go stay over there to die. Like the main girl lives with the sheriff, right? Well, you know why she lives with her? Is because the sheriff lured her parents to die. She's sick, man. They've been doing this for time. Because the robots will leave the restaurant and go outside and murder people for food. But instead of just sacrificing people, bro, bruv, shoot the robot, they're not bulletproof. If a man can piece up animatronic robots one by one with a flipping mop broken in half and his bare hands, you can shoot them. They're not bulletproof, man. What are you doing? You're not thinking. You're so stupid. So as the sheriff is holding Nick Cage at gunpoint, practically ready to sacrifice him to Willie, guess what? Willie kills a man. So now it's a final showdown between Willie and the janitor. And the janitor completely wrecked his ass, who would have thought? Ending the animatronic reign of terror across Hayesville. In the morning, his car is nice and fixed up, Liv is still alive, and then they drive off toward the morning sun, never looking back. And then a car explodes, and the total gets run over. And that's the end of the movie. And to be honest, this shit was terribly funny. The fact that he was going hand to hand with these robots, soloing them and beating the shit out of them, whereas everybody else was getting packed up like flies, it was hilarious seeing the animatronics get dropped. They were getting ragdolled and given a good whipping. Willy's Wonderland is just a giant silly movie. I must have just been scrolling on TikTok one day, seen something about it, went ahead to watch it. I was just like, meh, movie's alright. And if you haven't seen it, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna move on to the third and final movie I'll be discussing. One of the most horrific, gut-wrenching, sadistic films I've ever seen in my life. Something so creepy, so weird, so estranged, you would never go watch it in your free time. And the name of the movie is Ma. No, it's literally just called Ma. Now, Ma is a weird-ass type of horror movie. And before I go ahead to even give you a rundown of what happens in it, think of Medea. A weirdo. That's Ma in a nutshell. The story of Ma follows a girl named Maggie who transferred into a new school and made some new friends who were terrible influences and wanted to drive around and get drunk. They're stupid. So to even get the alcohol in the first place, they stood outside a gas station asking people to get them drinks. And that's when they meet a woman called Sue Ann. She's a flipping weirdo, man. She buys the drinks for them and not even 2 seconds later, she starts stalking their Facebook profiles at her day job. What are you doing? She then again continuously goes about buying them drinks and then offers them to hang out in her basement instead of just driving around drunk. And because these men have no self-awareness, they agree and they decided to stay in her basement. And then she pulls a gun on one of them. But it's not loaded. It's messed up though. Then the group go home for the day and Sue Ann, she starts moving suspicious, going on Facebook and stalks their profiles yet again, trying to find out more about them. She even stalked their parents at the casino where Maggie's mom worked. Go to your job, man. What are you doing? And as the movie goes on, Sue Ann keeps buying them alcohol, stalks their parents, hosts a giant house party for all the high school kids. Maggie and Haley go upstairs to use the toilet where Ma told them explicitly that they can't go upstairs. And then Ma crashes out on them and they go home for the day. They keep partying with her on and off again, taking shots, celebrating birthdays, doing the shebango. But then they all eventually finally agreed to stop partying with her. Because that shit was always weird. But Ma? She didn't like that shit. See, as much as she had fun partying with minors like some weirdo, she had another agenda. Back in the day, Sue Ann got manipulated and bullied by the parents of the main group of kids. And you know, got tricked into doing some nasty with a completely different person, which embarrassed her publicly in front of most of her school. And this shit happened 20 years ago. Yet Sue Ann decided that she would still take revenge against those people by getting to their kids. She started lying about having cancer to get them to come back to her house, ran over one of her childhood bullies, met up with Maggie's mom to stalk Maggie, gave her dog's blood to Andy's dad, and stole all their jewelry. And for what? You're sick! The group then go over to her house to celebrate her birthday, and then Maggie drives over to get them out of there since they shouldn't be there in the first place. And then they will get knocked out. Then this woman just embraces being a creep. She painted the black guy's face white. I don't know why the hell she did that shit. Pressed an iron on a guy, sewed a girl's mouth shut, and kissed the teenager. Who are you, man? What the hell is that? You're sick. And all of this bullshit. Her whole revenge plot and reason to why she even started doing any of this was to get back at parents for a high school prank that happened 20 years ago. Let it go, man. I get what happened to her was mad, but to go at teenagers, you're a sicko. She even drugged her own daughter and put her in a wheelchair to go ahead with this scheme. Who does that? Maggie then frees everyone out of the basement. Her mom and her co-worker come to rescue her, and then she goes to stab Sue Ann to go save Jeannie, and the day is saved. And then Sue Ann chills in a burning building, but the day is saved. I'ma cut the shit. This movie's just weird, man. I sat through it and was thinking, what did I just see? What the hell just happened? She became a villain because she got tricked into doing some of the freaky with another guy. At the time, she thought it was Andy's dad. And then she decided to go for the kids of everybody who was in on the prank, which I kind of understood. I mean, you mess with me, I'ma mess with your family. What's up? But the one part of the movie I'm just not rocking with at all is when she was lip-syncing Andy's kid. That's just wrong, man. That's not it. And to conclude on talking about Ma, don't drink with middle-aged ladies. You know that shit's wrong. But hey, these are some weird movies I thought were decent. If you got any weirder movies I should watch another time, let me know down below. I appreciate all you man for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!